This is Leading Detection, a Sedulo podcast where fraud fighters talk tech. Welcome back to the Leading Detection podcast. And today we're joined by Alex. We're going to be talking about a super relevant topic. We're going to be talking about CX fraud, customer success fraud, and what's really popping off in that space right now. So Alex, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Matt, for having me. I'm super excited to be chatting with you about my favorite topic.
Yeah, well, it's probably fresh to a lot of people, not for yourself. You've been exploring fraud and customer success fraud for a little while now. You've had quite an interesting journey thus far. But why is it coming to the forefront? Why is it so important that we're talking about this now?
I think people tend to neglect the CX leaders when they're the ones seeing every single day the chats, the customers, the journeys. And people tend to think about fraud very myopically in payments or someone trying to do DDoS, network layer, or some type of malware. They don't necessarily think about the fraud that's happening within chat and call centers and people who are trying to abuse appeasements, returns, or really chat with the CX team to get that free item or to get some promotion code. So for me, it's a very special heart topic because at Yofi and now Willow, we say that we believe the front line of customer support is where most of the fraud actually happens.
So this is kind of life after the buy, after the purchase, right?
Yep. And it can also be pre-purchase, right? Because I could say, hey, something went wrong on your website and take a screenshot and be like, this is what the cost was in my cart. Now you're charging me. Give me a coupon. Or like you mentioned, the post-purchase side of I never got my package or my package came broken or you sent me the wrong item or somehow I ordered a swimsuit and it came dirty. All these different excuses and ways to social engineer a discount, a free item, these people will take advantage.
And why is it not a case of the CX teams just go, no, we sent it, that's fine. It is what it is.
Because it's hard. It's a double-edged sword because CX tends to be rated on an NPS score, which is a net promoter score. I think NPS score is one of the worst ways to rate your CX team because if I say no, then you're going to give me a 1-star. Right. Yeah. And that 1-star really only hurts one person, which is the CX team trying to do their job. Yeah. And so there's so many ways for these bad actors to know different triggers and way around where if one CX agent says no, and it's not flagged or starred in the account or in the profile, they're just going to keep cycling through. So I'll call a call center. If the call center says no, I'll try email support. I'll try chat support. And they're really relentless.
And is that just a flaw of the system? Because customer success is supposed to be, like you say, as pleasant, as nice, do everything for the customer. Is that now becoming a fault line?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because you want to have a good brand experience and your CX leaders and agents are the front line of that brand experience, especially for e-com. And it's a complicated situation because it's hey, we have brand rules and guidelines and checklists that we have to go through. But again, they're so siloed where previously they weren't getting fraud and risk scores. So they would say, hey, Matt looks like a good guy. He could have 12 linked accounts. We won't know. So it's really, they had very siloed and very specific data just related to who are they chatting with and what was the sentiment of the chat.
Yeah. So for those who aren't in working within the space, so what are the costs to companies? So someone says, hey, I didn't receive it, you send it back. They probably think, oh, you get the product back, you can resend it. What are the extent of the costs?
Oh my God. Well, you think about it, reverse logistics cost as a whole is just 15% of whatever GMV it is. So that's an industry standard. So you take 15% of GMV and that's the reverse logistics cost. But you have appeasement fees. So out of pocket, depending on the brand, I could pay either $50 to $100, $200+ per customer to send a replacement, to send a coupon, to send something of we'll make it right or cover it. That doesn't include the price of the item, the time of the CX agent, the time to investigate. A lot of people don't understand that these agents will spend time to investigate of who they talking to, if it's worth like if someone says INR, like they're on Google trying to see if the proof of delivery is actually the same door. This is a interesting topic where like fraudsters will change their doorstep or like paint their doorstep or Photoshop their doorstep to be like, hey, Google Maps is wrong. It's very interesting. But like these people are spending so much time and energy. So it's not just like the cost of the good, it's also the cost and the OpEx of your team.
Is it getting to a point where the fraudsters are costing much more than
Yeah.
losing, say,
It,
that one good customer?
yeah, it's about 5x the cost of retaining a fraudster or appeasing a fraudster compared to the
Mm.
good actor. So we see the same thing on returns, where like 2% of customers that are bad ruin the experience for the 98% of customers. And so we saw what happened in returns where things were moved from return upon scan, where like people get instant credit, instant exchanges to return upon inspection. So that means that they're getting their return and the money back within plus or minus 14 business days, which is a long time to get money back on your card after a return. The same things we're seeing happening in claims where instead of saying, hey, you know what, Matt, you're such a good actor, let's just send you a new one. Let's give you a replacement. Let's handle your warranty. It's like, hey, give us 3 or 4 days to investigate this because we can't discern anymore who's good or bad.
Is this what's causing this to get worse and worse from when you've seen across your journey?
I mean, I think there's a few factors. A, you have Reddit and TikTok. So one person says, hey, I'm looking at my water bottle. My hydro flask came broken. They post it on TikTok or Reddit, and then guess what? There's a slew of new tickets of my hydro flask is broken. Or they'll say, here's the best way to get a free Caraway pot. Sorry to pick on you guys at Caraway, but people will say this and it spirals a bunch of new tickets. And then also like the ease of use of Gen AI. So when I started in this space around 2019, people would have to actually put effort and try to Photoshop pictures well. Now it's like, throw it into Gemini, let Gemini handle it. I think what we're saying is about 21% of photos within a claim are all altered with Gemini or like any Gen AI tool or with some type of Photoshop on top. And it's crazy because by eye from an agent, it's hard to look and you're like, oh, yeah, it does look like it's leaking or molding. But when you actually look at it in a pixel to pixel comparison, you're like, oh, no, this is actually very bad.
Yeah, and are people who have got genuine claims, are they also using AI to enhance their claim as well? So that's making it even murkier.
Yeah, there's definitely some like claim abusers, right? And they'll like, write the report or the claim using chat GPT or whatever LLM, and you'll see all the M dashes, or they'll be like, change this tone to be more angry. And you're like, oh, we've seen like the same thing copied and pasted like 10 times. But you've definitely seen some images where it's like, yeah, I can agree. The pair of sunglasses has a tiny scratch and you're making it look way worse than it is.
Mm. Is that a benefit to them at all?
Is it a benefit? I think that's a hard thing to say, right? I think it is, but then it penalizes them in the future, right? Because I think CX teams are starting to get smart and like using certain type of tools. They're starting to like say, okay, no, we're going to be strict about when we're going to decide to give appeasements. I was talking to a brand yesterday and they were like, hey, after 2 or 3 claims, we cut you off. We want to give you 2 or 3 good experiences, and then we'll like cut you off. And then like people are like cycling through accounts now and you can see it. And so hopefully with like better tooling, I won't plug my own company. They stop letting people like, cluster and build up those profiles as well.
Yeah, interesting. So just to go back a few things on what you said, you
Yeah.
mentioned about TikTok and platforms you can share information on. Is this coming from people, influencers or popular people who have had a genuine problem with the product and then people are just jumping all over it? Or is it more fraudsters who are just out there looking for weaknesses in systems and then once they're in, they share it?
It's both, right?
Mm.
Like, I could be an influencer and I could be talking about, my experience with a brand, and then all of a sudden they did one exception for me, and now they have to do exceptions for everyone.
Mm.
I mean, I think a lot of brands did a lot of good last year with the LA fires, and that was
Yeah.
horrific. But then a lot of people are like, well, I had a fire in my house, and because you did it for LA, you need to do it for me. It's different for doing it for a community. And yes, we need to give back and we need to give our community and our customers the best experience after something horrific. It's
Mm,
just like you can't emulate an emergency, or you can't emulate like something of that scale every single time.
yeah.
And then on like, Reddit, Telegram, whatever you want to say, or whatever platform you use, there's always someone who's testing loopholes and testing when things are changing because they want to teach and sell these courses of how to get away with certain types of abuse and fraud.
Mm. Is that a criminal offence? Not actually committing the fraud, but
It depends who you ask, right?
okay.
I think it's that gray area of like, you want to say it's a criminal offense, but until they have done something, e.g., over a certain dollar amount and constantly doing it, it becomes fraud. If you're teaching it and selling it, gray area. I think it's
Yeah.
fraud. I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, it's because there's so much of it, right?
100%.
Washing your hands of it. Is there any industries that this is really rife in that are particularly targeted, or does it just cycle? Does one tag get attacked and then eased off?
I would say it's definitely cycles. I think the easiest trend and what people are doing now is food delivery.
Hmm.
Uh, Products are harder because when you throw it into an LLM, you're still getting gibberish back on images where you're not getting like definitive text. Like, so think
Hmm.
about if I had like a beauty product, it labels all the ingredients in the back. When you look
Yeah.
at it in an LLM, it's gibberish. So it depends on who like is looking at it. But a lot of the food agents, like if I put a picture of raw chicken, right? It's hard for them to be like, oh no, this is fake. So food industry is like blowing up with this. Electronics is also heavily targeted. Electronics is always targeted in general, though.
Mm.
So, like splintering or breaking a screen is people's favorite MOs. But some agents and some companies, like Matt, it's kind of shocking. Like you could post a picture of a cat, and they're like, "Yeah, someone attached an image, good enough." And so it's kind of shocking the loose guardrails that have been up in this industry so far.
Mm. But it's a big problem. Surely people are saying, "Hey, we're getting attacked here." As investigator, and then seeing a picture of a cat. Who's responsible?
That's a good question. I mean, it should be like, a combination of fraud and CX to say, is this person worth giving the claim to? It
Mm.
kind of reminds me of when everyone was pushing to online returns and online shopping, where it's like free returns for everyone.
Yeah.
Let's make it a best experience. Everyone's at home with COVID. They want to shop. They want to like have this seamless experience. The same thing for claims, except it needs to kind of become course corrected because
Mm.
obviously I think the industry is paying too much in appeasements and being too generous, but
Mm.
that's my hot take.
It has, especially with like free returns, free deliveries. Is the industry kind of burnt itself? Do you think at COVID you couldn't go and try clothes on? You had to order them, try them on, return them, and then at some point someone's been like, "Hey, I can wear this for 2 weeks and then return it." So are they kind of trying to right their own wrongs in the industry?
I think so, but like it's also hard because when you have Amazon and you're competing with Amazon giving free
Mm.
returns, you're never going to get rid of free returns. That's when you see like people putting repackaging fees or restocking fees onto it because they've been so burnt by these bad actors or
Mm.
those wardrobers or resellers that now everyone pays $14 for certain returns. These are these brands and retailers trying to correct their wrongs, but at the same time, it ruins experience for like the
Mm.
98% of good actors.
Yeah. I mean, whether you're taxing fraud or not, you're paying for it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Somewhere. So how do we solve this? What's the kind of solutions that we can start looking at?
I think a lot of the solutions is starting to like pull in different tooling into your CX team.
Mm.
Regardless if you use something that's like more CX first, like Willow that integrates within your customer support tools, or if you can use give your support team some insight to your fraud tool, you should make one decision once if you know someone is fraud or not. You shouldn't have to honestly go through the entire customer journey and have such a siloed opinion about what their intentionality is. You should know someone's intentionality by the time they're shopping, because what someone's likely to do is the fraudster journey, right? Is if they're not going to do an INR or appeasement claim, right? Then they're going to try to do returns fraud. If they don't
Mm.
do returns fraud successfully, then they're going to do a chargeback. All of that could have been detected upstream, so you know what to do by the time they have to pull the last lever.
So what kind of signals are triggering this?
Thousands of different signals. So you
Okay.
can look at the chat data, you can look at the image data, you can look at how they're shopping, how their previous purchases were on different shopping sites. You can look at their payment information, payment fraud. There's a lot of different signals that you can stitch together.
Mm.
I think the biggest hindrance and the biggest issue that CX teams have experienced in the past is they had zero insight. So you open like a ticket on like, let's say a Gorgias, a Zendesk, a Gladly, or a customer,
Yeah.
and it's just, who is this customer? Okay. Maybe they do some address normalization and identity resolution, where if I fuzz my address oh so the slightest, you're not going to see all my alternative counts. So it looks like there's only one Matt Brady, right?
Mhm.
And so I know what your LTV was,
Yeah.
I know who you were, and if you had any returns or any other tickets.
Mhm.
That's all I see. It's a very, very small view on a point of time where I could be paying $0 out of pocket, or I could be paying $200 plus.
Mm.
I think like the future of that is really giving the CX team the power they need to make the right decisions.
Mm. What's the viewpoint of the CX teams? Because it's another skill set, right? Because being a very pleasant, customer's always right, customer success manager, and then being a highly strict fraud investigator, it's different ends of a spectrum, right?
It is, but you'd be surprised. A lot of these CX teams are also your frontline fraud fighters without you
Mm.
realizing it. They're the ones who are on Google Maps looking at images, looking at does this doorway match, because they deal with it way more than you expect.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of their day is dealing with, who is this customer and should I trust or give this appeasement or this free return to?
Mm.
Like I have a really good customer example where we flag someone for FTID, which is
FTID.
fake tracking identifiers,
Yeah.
or sorry, fake tracking identifiers. So they're like sending back a manipulated label to a warehouse. We flag this person.
Mm.
The customer support agent showed the customer, hey, you sent me a blank package. And then you watch the customer in real time try to lie their way out of it. These
Mm.
people are the one who are doing the most discernment for who is this person, while also trying to keep the brand appeal as well.
Mm. Fascinating. Any other good stories that people might be shocked by?
Ugh, there's so many good stories. Like, you should see the amount of bad images we're getting. So I want this as a general PSA. If someone asks for a police report and you're a fraudster, just letting you know, fake police reports are a sign of perjury. So when you're starting in the US to give us all these fake police reports for stolen or goods, someone can prosecute you for that. So be safe. Don't do it. Don't lie about stolen. If it's actually stolen, go get a real police report. It's not worth it. It's not worth jail time. I
Yeah,
don't think they care. Like, honestly, I'm so sorry, but for $250 for a stolen good, it's not worth up to 2 to 5 months in jail. It's just not.
Do you find? I mean, obviously, there's sophisticated schemes in this, but do you also find legitimate customers who buy something they don't want and then they want to try and return it, and they just kind of get lost in the lie? Do you see that
Mhm.
quite a lot? Is that becoming a bigger problem as well?
It's more on the claim side than the return side, where it's like,
Mm.
"Oh, you know what? I said my item didn't arrive before and they didn't test me on this. Let's go do it on another brand." And
Mm.
so you see people like testing, I think, their morality of saying, "Hey, my item didn't arrive." Also, like on the fraudster side, right? It's the pressuring of when the return will happen. Always, my dog died or my uncle died and I need the money for a funeral, or if I don't get this money today, I can't pay rent. I'm like, well, you spent $200 on an item. Your rent's $1,500 according to the chat. I don't
Yeah.
think this is going to make or break your rent money.
No. But with the tools available, anyone can kind of just take part in Do you see it becoming a little bit of a game to some people?
100%. It's it's always been a game in a sense of, like, people are always gonna test and, like, it's a cat and mouse game where they're gonna test you put up, like, return upon inspection, for example, where
Mm,
every package now needs to be inspected. Then guess what? Your appeasement claims are gonna go through the roof. And then
mm,
if you fix appeasements, but you don't have a good payments fraud system or chargeback solution, then your chargebacks are gonna rise. So they're always testing different loopholes, and it's truly a game. Some people also want to see how much money they can get away with until they get caught, and it's a
yeah.
catch me if you can moment. That's also very interesting.
So the kind of fight back, the more tools, data sharing, communication, the cost of this is rising though, right?
Yep.
How do we kind of balance that?
Cost from the customer side or the
No,
CX?
from from the CX side.
Well, right, the more that you know who's doing it, the lower the cost because end of the day, I'm not paying out for the appeasement or the free return or the
Mm,
replacement. So the more you can say, hey, let me give Matt such a good experience because he's a VIP customer.
yeah.
That's great. One of our customers uses Sienna AI. So for every bad actor we detect, it just gives them an automated bot and puts them into this purgatory. So
Hmm.
they actually never talk to a CX agent. So the OPEX is down. The credits of them talking to a bad aid or to this like AI bot, there's no actual monetary impact. And the AI agent just
Mm,
goes, hey, we're trying to connect you to someone. We'll let you know. So it's a fun little loophole. There's little things that you can do there where it's a reduction in OPEX and a reduction in appeasements.
yeah. Are you seeing the influx of AI bots running through these systems
Yep.
just
I mean, it's so bad. Like, it's the same copy and paste message over and over. And then it's just like these bots talking to another bot or talking to a human trying to get it. I listened to a customer support call where they had like a AI bot call in for them on the CX side and try to pressure for the return and try to be a lawyer. And you listen to the voice. Like, if I didn't know that this was a bot and definitely didn't understand the context of who the person was, it's pretty scary.
mm, didn't sound like Harvey from Suits,
It kinda did,
did it?
TB. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. It did sound like a Harvey or like, kind of any generic TV lawyer.
Mm, yeah.
I'm trying to
So,
use big jargon. If I don't get my money back today, I will take you to small claims court and da 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 script. And it's like if we have an offshore account, like offshore, right,
mm,
CX team who's not used to the US, EU legal jargon, it's spooky.
mm. Is having AI on the customer success side, is that part of the answer?
Totally. I think having a tool that like can look and understand intentionality and give you some feedback in real time of is this person trying to defraud you or
Mm,
what is their intentionality and just give you some type of risk scoring in
yeah.
real time is going to make a difference.
Do you think it'll ever get to a point where it's making decisions, where it's so obvious, or is it always
And
gonna
it
be
already
just
is.
go on?
So again, not trying to plug my own company, but at Willow, we like embed within the risk scores and within the tooling. So, like, for example, within customer, if we know it's a bad actor, we're not going to route you to an agent. We're going to say, hey, sorry, if you want your ticket to be closed or if you want us to investigate this, you have to email this specific team. And it goes specifically to a fraud team within the company where the fraud team goes and investigates, and it's all automated and decisioned. Same with the manipulated images. We auto decline. So we work with some shipping insurance companies where if they see that we see that it's a manipulated image or manipulated police report, it auto closes the ticket and says you're not getting a refund and you're banned from using our product ever again.
Wow. And is this information shared across the industry? Email addresses, postal addresses, card?
There's some privacy laws, so not necessarily a lot of the PII data.
Mhm.
I have another hot take where I don't believe consortium should impact and the network effect should impact all this decisioning because what you may be doing on store B may be different than store A, and you can't just punish someone from store B on store
Mm.
A, but that's a different conversation. But yeah, we look at more of their behavioral signals versus just straight PII information.
So if someone's been a good customer with one site
You
and
never
then
know. You
return
never
badge.
know when someone's account has been compromised, right?
Right.
Like, you never know when someone's credentials were stolen. You never know if someone did fraud as a service. Like, it's very complicated to understand what this email is or what they're
Mm.
doing. And you have to really understand their intentionality before you make a fraud signal or decision.
So you don't believe that if someone a centralized consortium where someone's attacked many different sites.
That's helpful, right?
Yeah.
And it could be a triggering moment of,
Mm.
yes, this person's automatically bad. They've had 100 chargebacks. Or we had one guy who attempted FTID 870 times, right?
Only 870.
Only 870, specifically 870. Then it's bad. So, anyways, it's a conversation that the fraud community loves or hates.
So what's next?
Just building out more for CX. There's a lot in the CX fraud side that we want to build and really intention on, whether it's in store or online.
Because there's a lot of conversations, right, about Framel, cyber fraud fusion, but how do we bring this conversation to the front about customer success and fraud? Because not too many people are talking about it.
I think you'd be surprised. More and more people are starting to talk about it. I think more and more people are starting to get impacted that they can't not talk about it or look for a solution. I think the hardest part is giving CX the empowerment that they need and giving them a level state at that table. It only gets worse because think about they're your frontline fraud fighters also during Black Friday, Cyber Monday,
Yeah.
Singles Day, whatever you want to call, or whatever holiday. They're the ones deciding on majority of things. You got to make them like an equal fraud fighter as well.
Yeah, fair. So what are you excited about? What have you got coming up this year? Where can people, if you haven't heard about this conversation, get more involved and keep up with what you folks are doing?
Just DM me on LinkedIn. I love to chat. I'm a chatty girl for good or bad reasons. I love to nerd out and look, I'm not here to sell you on this idea of CX first fraud, but I do think it's very, very important. And even if you have a question or you want to understand how this may impact your company, your fraud team, I'm always here to chat and give you my unsolicited, non-sales advice.
Amazing. And what are your predictions for this space in the next, say, 3 to 6 months?
It's going to blow up. It's already blowing up. I mean, the raw chicken on DoorDash has like 10,000 K views on TikTok. It's only going to get worse because people are realizing how easy. They go, oh shit, I can just throw it into an LLM and done, poof, done. So now it's going to broaden, and it's not just the images, it's the text, it's the automation that comes behind it. I remember bots and resellers. It's only going to get worse. So I'm excited to follow along this journey.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure scratching the surface with you, Alex. Thank you very much for joining. So LinkedIn, they can find you and they can nerd out on this space. Any events, anything else you got coming up?
There's a few events in LA, New York. I don't know. I'm not the event person, but if you message me, I will make sure you go to a fun event where you can learn about CX fraud and post-purchase fraud.
I know you're not the most salesy, but what about Willow?
Willow
tell us a bit more.
Willow's intention is being CX first. So really giving you an understanding of who the customer is, what is their intention pre and post purchase. So we integrate and follow along your customer support. Your customer's full journey, whether that's support and claims, whether that's returns, whether that's payments, and give you a prediction throughout. We're a seamless integration, whether that's with your customer support tools, return tools, or ordering. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun to build and can't wait to continue to build it.
Amazing. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Alex. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Awesome. Until next time. Ciao for now. Want to hear more about fighting fraud with tech? Subscribe to Leading Detection wherever you get your podcasts.